Now that we have the geometry built for the front grille of the car, let's go ahead and go back to Photoshop and create the textures that will give this grille a wire mesh look. Okay, so here's the UV snapshot that we exported from Maya into Photoshop. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back to Photoshop and bring that in. So I believe that was the grille UV. Okay, so here's the file that we output from Maya. And the first thing I'm going to do is, on this background layer, I'm going to go ahead and hit Control I. And Control I will just inverse the colors, and it's going to make things just a lot easier for both of us to see while I work on this. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is just make a new layer. And this new layer is going to be the actual first start of our mesh. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is switch to my line tool in Photoshop. Okay, and with my line tool selected, what I want to do is make a few adjustments. What we can do is adjust our line weight. So let's see what something like 10 looks like. That's not bad. Okay, so I'm going to set the line weight to 10, and I also want to make sure that this button right here is turned on, this fill pixels. And what that'll do is make sure that it actually generates pixels. And with any one of these two selected, it's actually going to generate vector paths, which we really don't want. We want to go ahead and make sure fill pixels is turned on. Okay, and what I'll do is just click and draw just a line. Okay. Now, what I can do with this one line drawn, rather than having to draw just a whole bunch of different lines, let's just duplicate this existing line that we have. And the easiest way to do that is within Photoshop. If you hold down on your Alt key, you'll see that when I have my Move tool selected and my Alt key held down, how my cursor changes. My cursor goes from this arrow with a little direction indicator. When I hold my Alt key, it goes to these two arrows. And what that's showing is that now when I just click and drag, it'll duplicate this layer and just move it over. Okay, so what I can do is just hold down my Alt key and move this over. And I'm also going to hold my Shift key while I hold my Alt key to make sure that this moves in a straight line. Okay, so now I have two lines. Now I can just hold my Alt key again and move this over and have three lines. Okay, just keep going. Now once I've got a few lines, let's say these 4, obviously it's going to take me quite a long time to get all the way over here. So what I could do to speed this up a little bit is just select one of these layers, and if I click on this little what looks like a little chain area on each one of these, what this is doing is actually linking these layers together, so that if I move one, it's going to pick them all up and move them. But also what this will let me do is, with this little round button up here on the Layers palette, if I click on this, I can go to Merge Linked. And what that's going to do is just collapse all of these layers down into one. So now when I hold my Alt key, instead of duplicating one line, I've now duplicated 4. And I hold my Alt key again, and now I duplicate these 4. And really, what I can do is just keep this process happening. Just link these two layers, merge them together, and I'll just hold my Alt key and duplicate all of these. So this will definitely help things go a lot faster, rather than just having to do these one at a time. Okay, so I should now have this pretty close to the edge. Okay, I'll go ahead and move these over. So now I have, if I go ahead and merge these together, what I now have is one direction for these this wire mesh. Now what I want to do is go ahead and make another set of wires that goes the other direction. So rather than go ahead and making a whole new set of wires, what I can do is just duplicate this existing wire set and just go up to Edit. Let's go to Transform and let's flip this horizontally. So now what I have is it's flipped these over to now where these wires, they go the other direction, which really is exactly what I want. Okay, so really quickly, what I can do to finish this off is, let's see, first of all, if you wanted to, you could go in and make sure all of these align correctly, which is pretty close. Now let's real quickly add a layer style to give these a little bit of depth. So what I want to do is, with one of these layers selected, let's go down to this little F icon in the bottom corner of your layers palette. And what we can do is, see, it's going to be kind of hard for you to see this. Let's go ahead and pull this up. What we want to do is add a bevel and emboss. Okay, and what that's going to do is bring up this window, and you can see it's sort of started to add a little bit of a bevel to this layer that we had selected. So what we can do is just really quickly make a few changes to this as far as depth, as far as the overall size of this bevel. Okay, so let's go ahead and just set this to something like a depth of 100%. Okay, so now you can see that these little wires in the front actually look like they have some depth to them. Okay, now what we can do is, on this little F icon that's been applied to the layer, let's just right click on that, and let's go to, let's see, it's going to be kind of hard for you to see because that layer palette's off. We can right click on this and go to Copy Layer Style. Now what we can do is just right click on this lower layer, and let's now paste layer style. So what it's done is taken the exact settings that we used for the first layer and now applied them to this bottom layer. So now what we have are wires that look like they have a bit of depth to them. Okay, now let's go ahead and finish this texture off by making the alpha channel. So what we can do is just control click on one of these wire layers, hold down Control and Shift at the same time to select the other layer. And now under Channels, we can make a new alpha and fill it with white. Okay, and now we are ready to go. Let's go ahead and save this as a TIFF. Okay, and we're going to call this Grill TIFF. Okay, we'll save the alpha channel. We'll turn off the layers, save this out. Okay, and now let's go back to Maya and add this texture map. So in any one of these views, let's go ahead and go back to the Hypershade. Okay, and the material that I'm going to use for the wire mesh is just going to be a Lambert. Okay, and within this Lambert, we can call it, let's say, front grill. And within the color, let's assign that that grill TIFF that we just made. So there it is. Okay, and same as before, since we had an alpha channel assigned to it, it's gone ahead and made the transparency where it needs. Okay. So now, with this front grill geometry selected, let's go ahead and just add this front grill. And you can see now that it's automatically added the transparency where it needs it. And we now have a nice front grill for the front of our car. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up this video here, and we'll continue on.